hello, ni hao, xin zhao, whatever else your greeting of choice may be, from a remarkably chilly day here in Haiphong, Vietnam. It is currently the 3rd of February, so you may be thinking I've left it a little bit late to do my end of year summary. You might even postulate that I've been procrastinating for the last few weeks. However, I would like to counter that with saying that last week was Tet, or Spring Festival, so if we're pretending to be on the lunar solar calendar, I'm just going to call it Nong Li, then I guess I can just about get away with arguing that this is only a week late. Indeed, I'm still on holiday for today and tomorrow, so I'm yet to really kick off the year of the snake. I was hoping to do this video out on the run, somewhere new, somewhere potentially interesting, but unfortunately I'm starting 2025 with a little bit of a calf strain. And so at least for today and potentially the next few days, I'm not going to be doing any running at all. So for this short recap of 2024, I'm just going to be sitting here ticking off a few boxes, and hopefully editor me can find some videos to put over the top. I'll start off with just a few stats. In 2024, I ran 4,399.5 kilometers, give or take. That's the number on my spreadsheet, which is 334 kilometers further than my previous highest total from 2022. And it also marks the first year where I've averaged over 12 kilometers a day. I mean, I say over, I think it's like 12.0 something, but still, it's the first time it hasn't been 11 point something. So that's a thing. I had a total of 23 weeks where I ran over 100 kilometers, 5 where I ran over 120, and 3 where I ran over 130, which is something that I'd never managed to do even once in any of my previous years running. I ran on 274 days out of 266 because it was a leap year, and I completed 1 full marathon, and I had another day where I ran 42 kilometers split over 3 runs, and there's a video on that. And I have no idea how many half marathons I ran because I record all of my mileage by day and not by run, and with the double days, it would be way too much of a pain to pass it out. In terms of races, I signed up for 6 official events and actually ran 5 of them, starting with the Jing'an half marathon at the front end of the year, which went surprisingly well considering I was coming back from illness and wasn't really in the best shape. And then the Nanbeihu trail race after that, which was officially cancelled, but which practically still went ahead, and I still have a medal for it, and I did complete it, which was only 18k with about 900 meters of elevation, so nothing too extreme, but a pretty fun introduction to trail running, as not only my first ever trail race, but in fairness my first real trail run at all. I then ran the Park Runner 10k, which again, I think that's the one there's a video of, where I tried to break 39 minutes in fairly unpleasant heat, and spoiler, did not succeed. But I did manage to clock my 3rd ever sub 40 10k, and considering the conditions, I was more than happy with that as a result. Then after moving to Vietnam, there was the Ha Long half marathon, which is the worst race I have ever participated in terms of my performance and how it went. Again, there is a video on that. It was not good, as evidenced by the fact I ran a sub 40 10k earlier in the year and around about a 3:30 marathon later in the year. When you run a half marathon and it takes you over 2 hours, that's not the best sign. And then yeah, there was that marathon, the Haiphong marathon, my marathon for 2024, where I feel like I did pretty well considering the run-in terms of training and what my expectations were. I mean, I was slightly disappointed, but it wasn't terrible. And again, there's a video on that. But in terms of time, I'll just say that was let's call it 3:31 something. There's some controversy over the actual time, but I'm not going to go into all of that again. On top of those official races, I also ran a 2-kilometer time trial for the first time, which was painful. Running a 2k loop of Century Park in Shanghai, where I took the course record, which in fairness I already had, and ran under 7 minutes for the 2k, which was not something I thought I was capable of. I then also got the course record for Zhongshan Park, which is the course I made. But if I remember correctly, at least that one I didn't have the course record going into it, where I set a mile PB and went under 5 minutes 30 for the mile, which again, I was personally quite impressed with. The speed is relative, but for me, that was probably faster than I was expecting to go. And then at the end of the year, to make amends for the terrible performance in Ha Long, I ran my traditional Boxing Day half marathon and finally set a new PB over that distance for the first time since I think it was 2021. And then finished off the year right at the end, I think on the last day of 2024? I can't quite remember, with a 5K time trial that was, I think, 6 seconds off my PB. And again, a serious shock, at least to me, considering how the marathon had gone the month before. And those events and my performances kind of sum up how 2024 went for me running wise. It started off right at the beginning with illness and trying to come back from something that felt a lot like COVID, but apparently wasn't. Led into me being as fit and as fast as I've ever been by about April or May. Took a bit of a dip after we moved to Vietnam and training became hard in the heat, and once I had a job and Felix had started school and everything was all a lot busier than I'd been when I hit peak fitness. A time which I should say coincided with me being out of a job for a couple of months, and so I guess I had more time to run. Before picking up at the end of the year as I came back to some health, and all that training throughout 2024 finally sort of paying off and showing itself in a couple of time trial performances towards the end of December. And so that's kind of a brief overview of how my running went in 2024. But 2024 was also a very big year in terms of life. I left my old work. I guess technically I was made redundant, although it was more of a mutually beneficial arrangement in reality, in lieu of the fact that the next big change is already in the books, which was us buying a house and moving to Vietnam, which was probably the main reason why my running suffered in the middle to second half of the year, as there were a lot of things to sort out and a lot of things to focus on once we got here. Such as finding Felix's school and finding jobs for the both of us, all things that are now sorted and we're fairly settled in. And other things like getting the house sorted and also getting hit by the largest typhoon in however many years or decades it was to have hit this part of Vietnam. I also bought a treadmill, so it's the first time I've ever owned one of those, which was a bit of an outlay, but has been seeing a lot of use. And I do not imagine that that's going to become a purchase that we regret, because I don't see me giving up on running anytime soon. And I don't imagine the climate in Vietnam is going to change anytime soon. So once we get through the next couple of months and it starts getting into spring and summer again, that is going to see a lot more use. And I think that's probably it. That's a pretty good recap of how 2024 went. I think it set me up pretty well for 2025, obviously calf strain aside. And from a running point of view, I'm coming into this year without too many other distractions, with a treadmill, with a decent base of fitness, a few key races that I want to target, a brand new training setup in terms of a new training plan to follow, and new workouts to do, and a few interesting and novel targets for the year ahead. But I will explain all those in a separate video, hopefully one where I can get outside and if not run, then at least have a walk around. And I hope everybody else had a wonderful 2024, and I hope you have a wonderful 2025 to come. Happy Year of the Snake, as I believe it is. And I hope to see you all next time out. Goodbye. Oh, let me sit down. Oh God, that was horrible.